The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was very big. It was so big that a small moon could fit inside it. Thousands of seats rose up from the floor in circles, each one filled with a different alien species. Some had scales, some had feathers, some had bodies made of light. They all looked down at the center of the hall where a single human woman stood alone. Her name she was the ambassador of Earth, and she had held this job for 15 years. She was not tall. She was not loud. She wore a simple gray suit, and her black hair was tied back in a neat way. She held a small tablet in her hands, and she waited. The High Speaker of the Council was a creature called. He had 6 arms and skin like blue stone. His voice was deep and filled the entire hall without any machine to make it louder. "The vote is complete," said. "By a count of 4,012 to 0, the Council has decided. Humanity will lose all trade rights. Humanity will leave Council space within 10 cycles. Humanity is no longer welcome here." The hall erupted in noise. Aliens cheered. Some laughed. Some made sounds that did not understand, but she knew they were happy sounds. They were celebrating. Did not move. She did not speak. She simply looked at her tablet and pressed a small button. The screen showed a single word, "recorded." A delegate from a nearby planet stood up. His name was not important. He had green skin and teeth like needles. He pointed at and shouted, "Look at her, the human does not even fight back. They are weak. We should have done this years ago." More laughter filled the hall, still did not move. Raised 2 of his arms, and the hall became quiet again. He looked down with his many eyes. "Ambassador," he said, "do you have anything to say? Your people have been removed from the greatest union in the galaxy. Do you not wish to argue, to beg, to make your case?" Looked up at him, her face showed nothing. No anger, no fear, no sadness. She was like a still lake on a windless day. "No," she said. Her voice was soft, but somehow everyone in the hall heard it clearly. "I have nothing to say." This answer surprised many aliens. They whispered to each other. Some leaned forward in their seats. They expected crying. They expected threats. They expected humans to act like the young, foolish species they believed humans to be. Closed her tablet. She put it under her arm. Then she turned and began to walk toward the exit. A different delegate, one with wings like glass, flew down from his seat and landed in front of her. He was much bigger than her. He spread his wings wide to block her path. "Wait," he said. "You cannot just leave. We have more to discuss. There are punishments. There are fees. You must pay for the crimes your species has committed." Looked at him. She did not step back. She did not look afraid. "What crimes?" she asked. The winged alien made a sound like breaking ice. It was supposed to be a laugh. "You expanded too fast. You took jobs from proper species. You built too many ships. You asked too many questions. You did not know your place." Nodded slowly as if she understood. Then she spoke again. "I see. We worked hard. We learned quickly. We helped where we could, and for this you remove us." The alien's wings shook with anger. "You mock us." "No," said. "I'm just making sure I understand, and I do understand now, thank you." She walked around him. Her steps were calm and even. The alien was too confused to stop her. From his high seat watched her go. Something about her calmness bothered him. He had seen many species removed from the council before. Some fought. Some cried. Some made threats that they could never keep. But this human woman simply walked away like she was leaving a boring party. "Ambassador," called out. His voice echoed in the hall. She stopped at the great doors but did not turn around. Is humanity truly going to accept this decision, just like that, without any fight? Turned her head just enough to look back at him, and for the first time she smiled. It was a small smile, a quiet smile, the kind of smile that held secrets. "High Speaker," she said, "humanity has never needed to fight. We simply need to leave." Then she walked through the doors, and they closed behind her with a sound like thunder. The hall was silent for a long moment. Then the celebrating began again. Aliens cheered and made deals with each other. They divided up the trade routes that humans had controlled. They planned who would take over the fuel stations that humans had built. They laughed about how easy it had been. None of them noticed that words had been strange. None of them thought about what she meant. They were too busy being happy. But noticed. He sat in his great chair and watched the celebration below him. His many eyes blinked one by one. "We simply need to leave," he repeated to himself. He did not understand. Not yet. But deep in his old heart something felt wrong. It was a small feeling like a tiny crack in a wall, easy to ignore, easy to forget. He chose to forget it. He chose to join the celebration. This was his first mistake. Outside the great hall walked to her ship. Her assistant, a young man named, was waiting for her. He was nervous. His hands were shaking. "Ambassador," he said, "what do we do now? They took everything from us, our trade, our stations, our place in the galaxy." Looked up at the alien sky. The stars were bright and cold. "They took nothing," she said. "They only gave back what we lent them. Now we go home and we wait." "Wait for what?" Smiled that small, secret smile again. "For them to understand what they have done." She stepped into her ship, followed her, still confused but trusting her completely. The ship rose into the sky without a sound and disappeared into the darkness between stars. Behind them, the celebration continued. The council believed they had won. They had no idea that their end had already begun. The news spread fast. Every human in council space received the same message at the same time. It was short and simple. It said, "Come home." That was all. No explanations, no orders, just two words that every human understood. Captain Minu was sleeping when the message arrived. He was on his ship, though, floating near a busy space station. His ship carried food and medicine to planets that needed them. He had done this job for 20 years. The sound of the message woke him up. He looked at his screen and saw those two words. He sat up slowly and rubbed his eyes. Then he pressed a button to call his crew. "Everyone to the bridge," he said, "now." His crew was small, just 5 people. There was his engineer. She was older than him and knew machines better than anyone. There was the pilot who could fly through an asteroid field with his eyes closed. There was who handled communications. There was the doctor. And there was the youngest who did a little bit of everything. They gathered on the bridge in less than 2 minutes. They all looked confused and worried. "What is happening?" asked. "Did something break?" Minu showed them the message on the big screen. They all read it together. "Come home," whispered. "What does that mean? We are in the middle of a delivery." Minu sat down in his captain's chair. He had served in the human fleet for a long time. He knew what this message meant. He had been trained for this day, even though he never believed it would come. "It means the council finally did it," he said. "They kicked us out." Silence filled the bridge, then laughed. It was not a happy laugh. "Fools," she said. "Those stupid fools, do they know what they have done?" "They will learn," Minu said. "But that is not our problem anymore. Our problem is getting home. How many human ships are in this sector?" Checked her screens. Her fingers moved fast over the controls. 412 ships, she said. "Most of them are cargo ships like us. Some are repair ships. Some are medical ships." Minu nodded. "Send them all the same order. Everyone leaves together. No one gets left behind." Outside the space station was busy. Aliens moved through the halls, buying and selling things. They did not know what was happening yet. They did not see the human ships slowly turning toward the same direction. An alien port officer called his face appeared on their screen. He had yellow skin and eyes on stalks. "Captain Minu," he said, "your ship is scheduled to unload cargo in 3 hours. Why are you moving away from the station?" Minu looked at the alien calmly. "We are leaving," he said. "Leaving? You cannot leave. You have a contract, you have obligations. Our obligations ended when your council ended our trade rights. We no longer have contracts with anyone in this space. The port officer's eyes waved back and forth on their stalks. This was a sign of confusion in his species. But the cargo, the food and medicine, planet needs those supplies. Their people will suffer without them. Minyu felt something heavy in his chest. He knew the people of. He had delivered supplies to them many times. They were kind people who had always treated his crew well. He did not want them to suffer. But he also had orders, and more than that, he understood why those orders existed. Your council should have thought about that before they voted, Minyu said. Goodbye. He ended the call. The screen went dark. The youngest crew member stepped forward. Her eyes were wet with tears she was trying not to show. Captain, she said, what about the people on? They did not vote against us. They were kind to us. Minyu turned his chair to look at her. His face was sad but firm. I know, and it hurts me too, but think about this. For 300 years, humanity has carried food to planets that cannot grow their own. We have brought medicine to species that cannot make it. We have fixed ships, built stations, and kept the trade routes safe. We did this because we wanted to help, because we believed we were partners in this galaxy. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, more human ships were gathering. They looked like a flock of birds preparing to fly south for winter. But we were never partners, he continued. We were servants. We did the hard work and they took the credit. They called us young and foolish, even as they depended on everything we built. And now they have thrown us away like broken tools. He turned back to his crew. If we stay and help, nothing will change. They will use us again and again until there is nothing left of us. But if we leave, if we all leave, they will finally understand. They will understand that we were never the ones who needed them. The bridge was quiet. Everyone was thinking about his words. Nodded slowly. He is right. We have warned them for years. We told them to learn our systems. We offered to teach them. They always refused. They said they did not need to learn from humans. Then let them learn the hard way, said. His voice was cold. Looked at her screens again. All human ships in the sector have received the order. They are all moving to the meeting point. Minyu returned to his chair. Good. Tell them to follow we jump together in 1 hour. The hour passed slowly. More and more human ships gathered in space, forming a great cloud of metal and light. From the space stations and planets below, aliens watched with confusion. They had never seen so many human ships in one place. Some aliens tried to stop them. They sent messages asking questions. They sent ships to block the path. But the human fleet did not stop. They simply flew around any obstacle, patient and calm. When the hour ended, 412 ships were ready. Minyu stood on his bridge and looked at them all on his screen. Each small dot was a ship. Each ship was a family going home. This is Captain Minyu of he said into his communicator. His voice went to every ship at once. Today we leave this space. We do not leave in anger. We do not leave in fear. We leave because we have finally been shown our true place in their eyes, and we accept it. We are going home to build something better, something that is truly ours. He paused and took a breath. Remember this day. Tell your children about it. Tell them that humanity left without a sound, and tell them that sometimes the quietest goodbye is the loudest message of all. He nodded too. Take us home. The jumped first, then the others followed, one by one. In less than 5 minutes, 412 ships disappeared into the space between stars. The aliens watched the empty space where the fleet had been. Some felt relief. Good riddance, they thought. Humans were always too busy, too noisy, too present. But others felt something else. A strange feeling in their stomachs, a whisper in their minds that something important had just happened. The port officer on the space station looked at his empty screens. No human ships, no cargo coming, no medicine, no repairs scheduled. He tried to call to tell them about the delay, but the communication satellite was not working. A human engineer was supposed to fix it yesterday. The engineer was gone now. They were all gone. And slowly, very slowly, the galaxy began to understand what that meant. 3 weeks after the humans left, the first station went dark. It was a small station called Waypoint 7. It floated in deep space, far from any star. Its only purpose was to help ships refuel on long journeys. Thousands of ships passed through it every day. The station was built by humans. The fuel systems were designed by humans. The computers that ran everything were programmed by humans, and the engineers who kept it all working were humans. Now those engineers were gone. The station manager was a creature named. He had thick gray skin and small black eyes. He had managed Waypoint 7 for 40 years and had never worried about anything. The station ran perfectly. It always had. On the 22nd day after the humans left, a warning light appeared on his screen. It was small and yellow. He had never seen this warning before. He called for his maintenance team. They came to his office and looked at the warning. "What is this?" asked. The team leader, an alien with 4 legs and 2 heads, studied the screen. "It says there is a problem with cooling Unit 17. Then fix it." "We cannot. The cooling unit is in a restricted section. Only humans had the codes to enter." Made a sound of frustration, then break the door down. "We tried that last week with cooling Unit 12. The door is too strong, and when we tried to cut through it, we damaged the pipes behind it. That is why cooling Unit 12 is no longer working." Stared at them. "Cooling Unit 12 is broken." "Yes, and Units 4, 8, and 11. We have been trying to fix them, but we do not understand the human systems. The manuals are written in their language, and our translation programs cannot understand the technical words." The small yellow warning turned orange, then red, then the lights in his office flickered. 1 week later, Waypoint 7 went completely dark. All power failed. All fuel was lost. Thousands of ships were stranded in deep space with no way to refuel. And this was only the beginning. Across the galaxy, similar things were happening. Navigation beacons stopped sending signals. Medical facilities ran out of supplies that only humans knew how to make. Communication networks broke down because no one understood how to repair the relay stations. On the planet, the situation was worse than anywhere else. It was a cold world with thin air. Nothing grew there naturally. The people have depended completely on food shipments from other planets. And for the last 100 years, those shipments had come from human cargo ships. Governor Talley stood in his office and watched the reports come in. His people were hungry. His stores were empty, and no ships were coming. He had sent messages to the council begging for help. The council had responded with promises. Help would come, they said. Other species would take over the human trade routes. Everything would be fine. But no help came. The other species did not know the trade routes. They did not have maps of the safe paths through asteroid fields. They did not know which planets had what supplies. Humans had kept all of this information in their own systems, and those systems were gone. Governor Talley's thought about something that had happened years ago. A human engineer named had visited his planet to repair their water treatment facility. She had worked for 3 days without sleep, fixing machines that no one else could understand. When she was done, Talley's had asked her why humans worked so hard for other species. Had smiled and said something he never forgot. "Because someone has to," she said, "and we are good at it. But Governor, please let us teach your people how to maintain these systems. One day, we might not be here to help." Talley's had laughed at the idea. Why would he waste time learning human work? That was what humans were for. Now he understood. Now he wished he had listened. He sat down at his desk and put his head in his hands. Outside his window, His people waited in long lines for food that would not come. In the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, emergency meetings happened every day now. High Speaker had not slept in weeks. His blue stone skin had turned gray with exhaustion. Reports came to him constantly, each one worse than the last. The medical stations in Sector 9 have closed, an aide reported. They have no more supplies. The communication network in Sector 12 is down. We cannot contact anyone there. 3 more fuel stations have failed. Ships are stranded everywhere. Listened to all of this with growing horror. He had not expected this. No one had expected this. He remembered what Ambassador had said on the day of the vote. Humanity has never needed to fight. We simply need to leave. He finally understood what she meant. Humanity had built half the galaxy without anyone noticing. They had created the systems that kept everything running. They had connected worlds that could not connect themselves. They had carried food, medicine, and hope to every corner of known space. And they had done it all so quietly, so efficiently, that no one realized how much they depended on humans. Until the humans were gone. A young aide rushed into the hall with a new report. His hands were shaking. "High Speaker," he said, "we have received a message from the human home system." Leaned forward. "What does it say?" "It is a list, a very long list." "A list of what?" The aide swallowed hard. "A list of everything humans built, maintained, or operated in Council space. Navigation systems, fuel stations, medical facilities, communication networks, food distribution centers, water treatment plants, emergency response teams, mining operations, repair stations, research facilities." He paused and looked at the papers in his hands. The list is over 10,000 items long, and next to each item there is a date, the date when the item will stop working without human maintenance. Felt cold inside. "Show me." The aide handed him the papers, looked at the first page, then the second, then the third, item after item, date after date. Most of the dates were in the past. Those systems had already failed. Many dates were coming soon. Those systems would fail in days or weeks. And every single item on the list was critical. Without these systems, the Council could not function. Planets would starve. Species would die. The Great Galactic Council would collapse. Put down the papers. His many hands were trembling. "Why did they send us this list?" he asked quietly. The aide looked confused. "I do not know, High Speaker." Knew the humans had sent the list to make a point. They could have let the Council discover each failure on its own, one by one. Instead, they had given them a complete picture of everything that was about to go wrong. It was not cruelty. It was honesty. The humans were showing the Council exactly what they had lost, exactly what they had thrown away. And there was nothing the Council could do to stop it. Dismissed his aides and sat alone in the empty hall. He thought about the vote. 4,012 to 0. Every species had voted against humans. Every single one. He had been so proud of that unity. All the different species of the galaxy, working together to remove an unwanted guest. Now he saw the truth. They had not removed an unwanted guest. They had cut off their own hands and feet. They had destroyed the foundation of everything they had built. And they had done it with smiles on their faces. Somewhere far away, beyond the borders of Council space, the humans were building new homes on new worlds. They did not think about the Council anymore. They did not need to. They simply waited, knowing that silence would do what weapons never could. 6 months had passed since the humans left. The galaxy was dying. 12 star systems had declared states of emergency. Food was running out everywhere. Medicine was a distant memory. Ships floated dead in space because there was no fuel. Planets that had once been rich and proud now sent desperate calls for help that no one could answer. The Galactic Council met in their great hall, but the hall was half empty now. Many delegates could not travel because their ships had no fuel. Others had stayed home to deal with disasters on their own worlds, and some had simply given up. High Speaker looked older than anyone had ever seen him. His blue stone skin was cracked and dull. His 6 arms hung at his sides like dead branches. "We must contact the humans," he said. His voice was tired and weak. "There is no other choice." The delegates who remained made sounds of protest. Even now, even after everything that had happened, their pride would not let them admit the truth. "Contact the humans," shouted a delegate with scales like mirrors. "After what they did to us, never." "They did nothing to us," replied. "We did this to ourselves. They simply left. Everything that has happened since then is our own fault." The hall fell silent. No one wanted to hear this truth, but no one could argue against it. "I will send a message to their home system," continued. "I will ask them to return. I will offer them better terms than before, full partnership, equal rights, everything they wanted." He paused and looked at the empty seats around him. "Perhaps they will forgive us. Perhaps they will help us rebuild. It is our only hope." Admiral received the Council's message 3 days later. He was an old man now, with gray hair and deep lines on his face. He had served humanity for 50 years, first as a soldier, then as a leader. He had seen many things in his long life, but he had never seen anything like the message on his screen. The Council was begging. They were actually begging. They offered everything: trade rights, voting power, seats on every committee. They promised to change their laws to treat humans with respect, to honor human contributions to the galaxy. They promised that things would be different this time. Read the message twice. Then he called a meeting of the Human Leadership Council. The meeting was held in a simple room with white walls and wooden chairs. 12 people sat around a long table. They were the elected leaders of human space, chosen by the people to make important decisions. Ambassador was there too. She had retired after returning from the council, but she had been asked to join this meeting. Her opinion was important. Showed them the council's message. He let them read it in silence. Then he asked the question that was on everyone's mind. "What should we do?" The room erupted in argument. Some wanted to help. They spoke of innocent people dying, of children starving, of medical emergencies with no doctors. They said humanity had always been helpers, and they should help now. Others wanted to refuse. They reminded everyone of the years of disrespect, the insults, the vote that had been unanimous against them. They said the council had made their choice, and now they had to live with it. The arguments went back and forth for hours. Finally, held up his hand for silence. "Ambassador," he said, "you have not spoken. What do you think we should do?" Had been sitting quietly, listening to everything. She was older now, with white in her hair and wrinkles around her eyes, but her gaze was still sharp and clear. "I think," she said slowly, "that we should do nothing." The room went quiet. "Nothing?" asked a young leader named. "But people are dying, we could save them." Nodded, "Yes, we could. And if we do, what happens next? The council thanks us, takes our help, and in 50 years they vote against us again. The cycle continues. Nothing changes." She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, a new city was being built. Human hands were creating something beautiful from nothing. "For 300 years we tried to earn their respect through service," continued. "We worked harder than anyone. We gave more than anyone. We asked for so little in return. And what did we receive? Mockery, suspicion, fear." She turned back to the room. "They were afraid of us because we were good at things they could not do. They hated us because we made them feel weak. No amount of service will ever change that. They will always fear what they cannot understand." Admiral frowned. "Then what do you suggest? We let the galaxy burn?" "No," said. "I suggest we let them solve their own problems. not forever, just long enough for them to truly understand what they lost, long enough for the lesson to sink in, long enough for the next generation to grow up knowing the truth. And what truth is that? Smiled her quiet smile. That humanity was never the problem, we were the solution, and they threw us away because they were too proud to see it. The council debated for 3 more hours. In the end, they voted. The result was close, but words had changed many minds. The message they sent back to the council was short, just one sentence. We wish you well, but we cannot help at this time. High Speaker received the message in his private chamber. He read it once, then again, then a third time, hoping the words would change. They did not change. He had expected anger. He had expected demands. He had expected humans to list their grievances and ask for apologies. He could have worked with that. He could have negotiated. But this simple, polite refusal gave him nothing to work with. No anger to calm. No demands to meet. Just silence. He tried again. He sent more messages. He offered more concessions. He sent personal apologies to every human leader he could find. The responses were always the same, polite, kind, and completely firm. We cannot help at this time. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. The council's problems grew worse. Systems failed. Planets suffered. Species that had been proud members of the galactic community now fought each other for scraps of food and drops of fuel. And through it all, the humans remained silent. They were out there, somewhere beyond the borders of council space, building, growing, thriving. Sometimes, late at night, would look at the stars and wonder what they were doing. Were they building new worlds, new stations, new wonders that the council would never see? He would never know. They had closed their borders. They had stopped all communication. They had become ghosts, present only in the memories of those who had known them. One night, an old delegate came to his chamber. He was from a species that lived for thousands of years, and he remembered things that others had forgotten. I knew humans when they first came to the stars, the old delegate said. They were young then, curious, full of wonder. They wanted to be friends with everyone. Listened in silence. We could have been their partners, the delegate continued. We could have grown together. Instead, we treated them like servants. We took their work and gave nothing in return. And now? He looked out the window at the dark, quiet galaxy. Now we have exactly what we asked for, a universe without humans, and it is more empty than I ever imagined. Had no answer. There was nothing to say. The humans had not taken revenge. They had not attacked or conquered. They had simply shown the galaxy a truth it had refused to see. Humanity had never needed the council. The council had needed humanity. And now, finally, everyone understood. 60 years had passed since the day humanity left. The Galactic Council no longer existed. It had collapsed 40 years ago, broken by hunger, conflict, and the weight of its own arrogance. In its place, there were only scattered kingdoms and lonely planets, each one struggling to survive. The great hall where the vote had happened was now a ruin. Its roof had fallen in long ago. Plants grew through the cracks in the floor. Small animals lived in the empty seats where delegates had once sat. In this broken place, a young alien named searched through the rubble. Was a historian. He belonged to a species that looked like walking trees, with bark for skin and leaves for hair. His people had suffered greatly after the humans left. Their world had depended on human medicine, and without it, millions had died from sickness. Had been born after the collapse. He had never known the old galaxy, the one with trade routes and space stations and medicine for everyone. He only knew the stories his grandmother had told him. Once, she used to say, there were beings called humans. They were small and strange, with soft skin and short lives, but they built wonders that even the oldest species could not understand. And then, one day, they left. Why did they leave? Young had asked. His grandmother had been quiet for a long moment, because we told them to go, and they listened. Now was grown, and he had made it his life's work to understand what had happened. He traveled from planet to planet, searching for records from before the collapse. Most had been lost or destroyed, but sometimes, if he looked hard enough, he found something. Today, in the ruins of the Great Hall, he found something important. It was a small metal box, buried under broken stones. The box was dented and scratched but still sealed. Opened it with shaking hands. Inside there was a single data crystal. It glowed faintly blue in the dim light. Took the crystal back to his ship and put it into his computer. The screen flickered, and then a face appeared. It was a human face, a woman with black hair and calm eyes. She looked old but strong. "My name is Doctor," the woman said. "I am recording this message for whoever finds it long after we are gone." Leaned forward, his heart beating fast. "By the time you see this, humanity will have left Council space. We will not be coming back. I know this will cause great suffering, and I am sorry for it. But I want you to understand why we made this choice." The woman on the screen took a deep breath. "For 300 years, humanity tried to be part of your galaxy. We offered friendship. We offered partnership. We offered our skills, our technology, our labor. We asked only to be treated as equals." Her voice grew sadder. "But we were never equals in your eyes. We were tools, useful but disposable. You took what we offered and gave nothing in return, not respect, not gratitude, not even basic kindness." She looked directly at the camera and felt like she was looking at him. "We could have fought back. We had the power. Our ships were faster than yours. Our weapons were stronger than yours. We knew secrets about the universe that your scientists had never discovered. If we had wanted to conquer you, we could have done it in a year." The woman shook her head. "But that was never who we are. Humans do not destroy. We build. We create. We help. It is our nature, our gift, our curse. We cannot stop being who we are, even when we are treated badly for it." She paused and seemed to collect her thoughts. "So instead of fighting, we chose to leave. We chose to show you, not with weapons but with absence, how much you needed us. We chose to let you experience for yourselves what a galaxy without humans looks like." Her voice hardened slightly. "This was not revenge. Revenge is hurting someone because they hurt you. We did not hurt you. We simply stopped helping. The pain you feel now is not caused by us. It is caused by the systems we built, which you never learned to maintain. It is caused by the work we did, which you never bothered to understand. It is caused by your own dependence on people you despised." Doctor leaned back in her chair. "I do not know who will find this message. Perhaps it will be one of the species who voted against us. Perhaps it will be a new generation, born after the collapse, trying to understand what happened. Whoever you are, I want you to learn from our story." Her voice softened again. "Do not fear those who are different from you. Do not hate those who are better at things than you. Do not throw away allies because their success makes you feel small. The galaxy is vast and dangerous. You need friends to survive it. You need partners to build in it. You need to see others not as threats but as gifts." She smiled, and it was a sad but hopeful smile. "Somewhere out there, beyond the borders you set for us, humanity is thriving. We have built new worlds. We have created new wonders. We have made a home for ourselves among stars you have never seen. Perhaps someday your children's children will find us again. Perhaps they will be wiser than their ancestors. Perhaps they will offer partnership, true partnership, and we will accept. Until then, we wish you well. We hope you find the strength to rebuild. We hope you learn the lessons we tried so hard to teach. And we hope you remember us, not as servants, not as tools, but as the friends you almost had." The screen went dark. Doctor's face disappeared. Sat in silence for a long time. Tears ran down his bark-like face, leaving wet trails on his rough skin. He had spent his whole life searching for answers. Now he had found them, and they were not what he had expected. He had expected to find stories of human weakness or human cruelty. He had expected to find evidence that justified what the council had done. He had expected to feel better about the past. Instead, he felt ashamed, deeply, terribly ashamed. The humans had not been enemies. They had been friends, the best friends the galaxy had ever had, and the galaxy had thrown them away because of pride and fear and stupidity. Made copies of the data crystal, hundreds of copies. He spent the next 30 years of his life traveling from world to world, sharing Doctor's message with everyone who would listen. Most people cried when they saw it. Some grew angry, not at the humans, but at their own ancestors who had caused this disaster. Others simply sat in silence, thinking about what might have been. The message spread. It was and shared and passed down through generations. It became a legend, then a history, then a warning. And slowly, very slowly, the galaxy began to change. Species that had fought each other started to talk. Worlds that had closed their borders started to trade. Old hatreds began to fade as new generations asked themselves, what would the humans have done? They built their ships to look like human ships. They named their children after human heroes from the old stories. They taught their young ones to be helpful and kind, to build instead of destroy, to offer partnership instead of demanding submission. 100 years after the collapse, the galaxy was healing. It was not the same as before. It was smaller, quieter, more humble, but it was alive. And sometimes, on clear nights, people would look up at the stars and wonder about the humans. Were they still out there? Were they watching? Were they proud of what the galaxy had become? No one knew for certain. The humans had never returned. Their borders remained closed. Their channels remained silent. But some people believed they could feel something, a warmth in the darkness, a presence beyond the stars, a hope that someday, somehow, the humans might come back. They were still waiting. The galaxy was still learning. And somewhere far away, in a place no alien had ever seen, humanity continued to thrive, building, creating, helping, without making a sound. And perhaps that was the greatest lesson of all, that true strength is not in noise and fury. It is in quiet confidence. It is in knowing who you are and what you are worth. It is in walking away with dignity when others try to bring you down. The humans had shown the galaxy this truth. Now at last the galaxy understood.